How's it going, YouTube? Mark, Ricky, and we have got a special music video reaction. We are with Witch of the Vale with Erin and Ryan. How are you doing tonight, folks?
Good, yeah.
Yeah,
Can't
yeah,
complain.
good. Got some.
We are excited that you're here, and we are going to take a look at Love of a Father. I am so excited to talk to you about this. This is one of the songs that I think I got recommended on Spotify. I'm not entirely sure, but I was just obsessed with the imagery of this and the other one, your Commemorate one. Just stunningly beautiful, both lyrically, musically, and visually. So thank you so much for being here with us so that we can take a look at it with the actual artists.
No problem. Thank you for having us.
So tonight, we always have beers with our Friday night reaction videos, and I got an Innocent Gun. I don't know if is that an actual Scottish beer, Innocent Gun? Are you familiar with it?
It is, yeah.
Is it tasty? I don't even know.
We're not beer people, so can't
Not
help
beer
it.
people. Well, here's the thing. We're going to do beers, and then in honor of having our first Scots on, we thought we would try some Scottish whiskey. So I want you to help me choose which one we have tonight. Okay. Our is it Ushkabeha? Is that it in Gaelic? Ushkabeha, the water of the gods. So I've got a Lochfine. I've got a Lochfine from a living cask, and then I've got a Glen Spey from Speyside. I've got that one, and then I've got, this is one we bought on the premises, a Talisker from Skye, and then I've got a Singleton from Glen Ord up near Inverness, and then I've got an Old Faithful here. And don't feel bad if you choose this one. I've got a Glenfiddich, just because I feel like it has to be in the liquor cabinet, the Glenfiddich. So where are we going tonight, folks?
Yeah.
Well, once again, actually, well, no, I mean you drink a bit of whiskey, don't you?
I'd recommend the Sky one, the dark Sky one. Yeah.
Let's see, the Talisker one.
Yeah.
Well, Ryan, I'm going to tell you, I have been waiting a long time to open this, and I feel like tonight is a great time to open it. In honor of having you both on, again, the first Scots that we've had on. And
you would definitely be an excuse for you to drink.
Oh boy, that does smell lovely. And Erin, you said you are not a whiskey drinker, is that right?
I'm not. No, I never. I had like one really terrible. I mean, like most people, one really. Well, I think most people, it's probably vodka as their like bad teenage alcohol experience. For me, it was some really like rough like single malt whiskey at the back of like a friend's cupboard that they're on about, and yeah, I've just been traumatized ever since.
So you need to write a song about that.
That's right. The trauma.
Maybe I should. Yeah.
Whiskey in the cupboard. Yeah.
Whiskey.
The trauma of the whiskey. But you two are having drinks as well, and you're going with Wild Turkey. Is that right?
We are. It was completely unintentional. It's like we planned this.
I know. It does feel like a little synchronicity, I feel like. Well, is it Sláinte? Is that it? The cheers?
Sláinte, Sláinte.
So, Sláinte, cheers.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. Well, Ryan, if you can get your hands on some of the Talisker, top notch, my friend, top notch. All right, so we're going to take a look at Love of a Father. This came out this year, correct?
Yeah, only about, maybe 3 weeks ago or something?
Yeah, 3-4 weeks ago, yeah.
Beautiful. Okay, well, here we go. Love of a Father, Witch of the Vale.
Okay, I gotta say stop. Like, these shots are amazing.
Yeah.
This is like better than most of the movies I watch. This is beautiful.
And these are the Callanish stones, correct?
They are, yeah.
Yeah, up on the Isle of Lewis.
Yeah, they're 5,000 years old. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
And these are supposedly run on ley lines as well, right?
Yeah, they're supposed to connect up to, create a nexus.
Yeah. All right, I have a question here about some of this already. So obviously I love kind of the history of the area and stuff like that. And there's so much of that area that was influenced by, Gaulish tribes, and there's the Scotty tribes and all that type of stuff. A lot of this imagery seems very reminiscent of that type of stuff. Some of the artwork that you see and things like that. Was that intentional? I know you said before that a lot of this vision was your director's, but was any of that imagery intentional, or is that just happening to come out?
Oh no, that was intentional, especially with the standing stones, because we've gone for kind of a kind of modern but also very kind of ancient tribal sound with some of our stuff, and our aesthetic kind of goes along with that. So yeah, picking these kind of locations was very kind of quite important to the kind of the outcome.
And that is just a gorgeous shot right there too. And it reminds me of Crucifixion. I gotta say, the way you're standing there, Ryan, I don't know if that's a positive way to be standing.
Comfort in what I know. I mindlessly mouth my part of the sermon. Pay your respects. My mortal debt. Nothing smothers hope like a death. Undress me into it gently, wash the blood out of my dress.
So, like, all these, I'm hearing like even the beat, like some of the sounds are real metallic, and there's all these kind of little sprinkle, all these little really cool atmospheric. So you're saying you were telling us earlier you kind of put that in as a song as you're building on the song.
Yeah, so there's no the hi-hats, for example, that you hear are actually like anvil hits, pitch shifted up,
Nice.
which just makes them kind of just sound a bit more, gives them a bit more depth or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, they sound a bit unusual, a bit kind of, more metallic.
What's the snare hit? Remember?
The snare is it's a number of layered drums actually. So there's like a low tom kind of pitched up a little bit, and there's a kind of a snare with kind of the mids and the lows kind of gutted out of it to give it kind of a crackle on the top with a bit of distortion there.
Nice. So are you one of these that for the snare hit, it takes you a day to find the sound you want? Just all of these little intricate.
We rarely even use snares actually. So for this one, yeah, definitely there was a lot of the snare sound changes I think through the track a bit as well. But
Right. But you're always there's that sound you want. So you're toying around with it like in a mad laboratory.
Yeah. She's constantly giving me trouble for going back and tweaking the track.
Yeah, you're like, I hear something else I need to put on there. Yeah.
Well, and I am loving the lyrics to this, and let me just say that you can tell me that I'm wrong if you would like to, or some artists just like for me to talk about what I'm seeing. But one of the things that I really love here is the tension between whether or not the lyrics are about kind of somebody dealing with something internal or some big external loss. So one of the things that occurs to me is in a lot of like Scottish folk songs, or at least the ones that I'm familiar with, things like Bonnie Banks of Loch Lomond and things like that, is that there's this real sense of loss of land and loss of communion with nature. And I would have to assume that it has to do with the tension between England and Scotland and things like that. And all of those songs are all about wanting to go back to that nature, back to that external thing. And this feels like it's just gone. And we're having to deal with that loss. It is just gorgeous to me.
I love that interpretation. I think that's lyrics are a strange thing, and like I'm not actually much of a poetry person. In general, I could never really write poetry, and I think I often found poetry a little bit kind of inaccessible. So it's quite odd to me that I ended up connecting with writing lyrics, because lyrics are just poetry. It's just like the back door of poetry or whatever. And I guess that's the strength of that kind of writing, because poetry is always going to retain that abstraction, that kind of subjectivity, that, metaphor.
Yes.
So I think that in some ways the purpose of anything that's written in that sort of like poetic form is for it to be interpreted in different ways.
Sure.
It's quite strange for me to talk about the meaning of lyrics, because I never talk about the meaning of my lyrics really unless somebody directly asks. No one asks.
Right.
No one asks about lyrics. People go, I really like lyrics. And you kind of go, I wonder what this person likes about them, because they very rarely say. But so in some ways, I guess I'm saying I agree. That sounds like wonderful, and I'd like to think that I was influenced in some ways. I do have quite a specific. There was quite a specific kind of I don't know, meaning, or
for you, yes.
For me, which I don't know if it's worth speaking about it at this part of the video or maybe later.
Okay.
Where more of the lyrics are maybe relevant to that, but
so
here rambling now.
So here's the thing, Erin. I will never ask you what you meant by that, because in academic studies, one of the things that we talk about is something called the fallacy of intent, or the intentional fallacy. And basically, it's a fallacy to try to presuppose the intention of a piece of art. Because even if the art...
I'm an English lit grad as well. So.
Oh, you are? So I don't know why I'm lecturing you.
Actually.
You know exactly what I'm talking about then.
The English people, the music people. There we go. Right.
I feel like we're connecting.
It's all worked out.
And just like Ryan, I'm just kind of like, whatever. I don't know what you're talking about. I'll play the chords, man.
See, we're perfect. Is it like a quadruple couple thing? I think we worked well. All right, I'll get back to it. I've got to stop here for just a second. So, I mean, as an English major, Erin, you know that water is usually the symbolism of life, the life-giving force. So, we're talking about T.S. Eliot and the wasteland and stuff like that. That's always a good thing. I don't know that it's good here. And in fact, we have looked...
That's for sure.
Yeah. I'm sure it wouldn't be good to be good inside. I mean, I'm sure that was turbulent and horrible on the day of shooting.
Yeah. I mean, I'm kind of like now getting into this like Wim Hof, like ice water therapy stuff. Like so actually, like coming out of it was pretty euphoric. Like you're all, the blood runs to the surface of your skin and you get this like flush of warmth and you feel really euphoric afterwards. So, but I'd also had quite a large drink before I got into the water, so that might have had something.
That helps. Yeah. Whatever works.
Yeah. And actually, the intention of this scene was to be nothing like this. What the videographer had in mind was still water and me just in the water, and it certainly wasn't supposed to be something that would like take up a whole section of the video. But when we got down there, it was very naive of us to think that we could find still water. When we got down there, it was just these huge crashing waves. But we were like on a time schedule. We needed the shot. So it ended up me being thrown around in the water. So, but it's great because in some ways it's some of the best shots in the video, I think.
I feel like visually that was just a piece of luck on y'all's part, because I'm sure it was horrible filming it, but you getting thrashed around and then the lyrics that you're singing at that moment, live like a slave, die like a martyr, as you're getting smashed by those waves back and forth, visually is stunning. So that feels like a piece of luck on y'all's part.
Was it more difficult than the stuns though? Because what you can't see in the stuns is we're holding still for these shots and we're getting eaten alive by midges. So as soon as every shot cuts, we're running around getting.
So Mark, that's a good question. Did you experience a lot of midges when you've been to Scotland?
100%. And I'm going to tell you something, and it might come off as bad, but when we got to our B&B in Isle of Skye, we were going to hike for like a week. And the lady that we were talking about, I had never heard the term midges before. We have friends who live in England, but I had never heard Helen or Nick say midges before. That's a Scottish term.
They don't get them down there. It's a Scottish thing.
Yeah.
Right. And so she told us as we left, you better make sure you wear long sleeves or take a bit because the midges are about. What the hell is a midgie? I thought she might have been talking about a fairy of some sort. I was like, I don't know what that means. But I believe we'll be okay. The midges, I'm a big guy. I'm fine with the midges. And then I found out they're like goddamn horse flies. And they're like biting you and leaving whelps and stuff. I'm like, that's what she was talking about. The midges are awful.
They are really, truly awful, yeah.
So yeah, you've never experienced such dense clip. It's actually amazing to me that you can't see them in the shots because we were standing and you could feel them in your hair, over your lips.
Yeah.
And then as soon as we would cut a shot and we were standing still or doing whatever we were doing for the video, we would just run around and slapping ourselves and try to get rid of these midges. It's torture.
The stuff you do for your art, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I tried to tell people too, and you can back me up on this. Midges are way different than mosquitoes. The mozzies, like if you go somewhere where there's a lot of mosquitoes, that's one thing. But the midges, very aggressive. The midges, very aggressive and painful,
and small, so they're harder to deal with.
Yes, yeah. Ugh, you're putting so much background into this now. I'm loving this. I got to go back. Right there, that is stunning. That is a stunning shot.
You can see the paint.
Yes, it is just beautiful.
My own forgiveness without the love of a father. Pay your respects. My mortal debt. Nothing brings remorse quite like a death. Undress me, do it gently, say a prayer under your breath.
And where is that? Is that also, I've never been to the Isle of Lewis, so I don't know. Is that also right around that area?
It's not too far from there. There's a big lighthouse kind of just off the northwest of there on an area called the Butt of Lewis, and that's where those kind of crashing rocks were, which was, not that far, just a
Short drive.
short drive from the beach.
I feel like all of that area, if you put anything in black and white, stunning. Just absolutely gorgeous. It's just beautiful. So atmospheric. Oh. Okay, so is she using some type of, and this may be a question for your director, is she using some type of undercranking there to get those dropped frames? Right there. Not sure.
Yeah,
No
I have no idea.
I know that one of our friends was walking past us slowly holding a light.
Ah, yeah. Probably was then. Yeah, trying to get the light bouncing off and then dropping the frames. So beautiful. Let's see.
Renounce his name, inherited shame, passed down like a cancer. My hate restrained, conceived.
Yes.
That part there where my hand goes along the wall, that's awful for me to see because I see a bit coming off the wall there, and this is like a 500, 600-year-old medieval church. I'm like, oh no.
Oh. Ryan, did you desecrate a church?
A little bit, yeah.
A little bit. That's fine. As long as
Just a few crumbs.
just a little bit. That's fine.
Yeah.
Well, it looks amazing, I have to tell you. And the other thing that is just fascinating to me is kind of the tension between the two characters in this. And I know it's you, but obviously these are characters, but the tension between those two. And then, Ryan, when you're doing the thing, man, it's such a powerful image. It kind of reminds me of Fincher 7 and some of those older movies. And I don't know if you remember one of Garbage's first music videos. One of the first ones they did was very David Fincher-esque, where the frame rates would drop and it would be kind of like this. And
Special?
I think it was Only Happy When It Rains, maybe? I'd have to go back and look.
I think that was the first video, yeah.
But it looks kind of like that. It's so atmospheric. I love it.
The disease of my own to harbor. Pay your respects. My life's subject.
Question time. So a couple of them, you have a lot of these really cool kind of filter swells, these kind of whop. Did you automate all those or did you program that? Is that a certain sound?
It's automation. Camille's, what's her? I always forget her name. There's two people involved in the bit.
Carol.
Yeah, Carol. Carol, she did a lot of the editing. I think she did a lot of the effect automation as well. And she was just manually doing it in time to music rather than any kind of like tool that does it automatically.
So drawing all those little dots and all that. Wow, that's a lot. And then I wanted to ask, especially on and I don't even know what the form of the song is. Kind of like verse, and then there's this instrumental interlude, and then verse. But in the interlude, there's this heavy. That's an amazing sound. Can I ask what it is, or do you want to keep that secret?
So if I peel off all the kind of the effects and kind of reworking of it, there's a little synth going dee 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 dee.
And you just layered all this stuff on it.
Yeah, and I've been running it through like a guitar effects processor, some guitar rig, and messing around with a lot, and then pitch shifting it down and up, and kind of putting it back in and just thickening it up. But
it is such a cool sound. So let me ask you this: now, when you do it live, is it like, oh my gosh, what did I do? How am I going to program all that?
it is very difficult to do live, and because there's only two of us, so we have to automate parts as well.
Right.
So, and it's no single synth sound. There's, so I'll generally be playing quite a heavy synth on top of it, but there'll be some of the, that sound will be pulled out of the main mix, but there'll still be some of the underlying synths still there. So I'm doubling up.
I got you. Really cool. It's a great, great sound. It's really cool.
Well, thanks.
Nothing smothers hope quite like a death. Undress me, do it gently, say the prayer under your breath.
So a moment ago, Erin, I said that about the lyrics, that I'm kind of two minds about it, whether or not it's a personal meaning or whether or not it's some type of external trying to return back to a previous a point in the past. This is one of the scenes that gives me pause because, like I said, there's so much in, at least for me, and I am not an expert, but there's so much in like folk music about returning to the land. And it almost seems like that Ryan is playing like a version of that, and you're separated by this megalith. And metaphorically, this is just a gorgeous shot for me, especially in light of the song.
And I just noticed, like, Ryan has dark hair, but the white stripe.
And
then Erin's got the dark stripe, but I just noticed that. It's like, whoa.
Wow.
Mirroring.
Mirroring, yeah.
So as someone who edits a lot, I love whenever you use text and then underlays under the text. That is fantastic. I don't know if y'all had any input into that at all, but that is an awesome, awesome shot.
It was literally like, I think one of my only actual suggestions, like one of my only ideas. I was like, I really want that, that thing where it's like glitter and then it's like see-through. And Kamal's like talking about, I'm like, I don't know how to explain it. But yeah, I think it's really powerful. It just works with that like long note at the end, doesn't it?
It definitely does, with that big synth end, and then we just freeze on the image underneath the letters. And it reminds me of, I can't remember the name of the film, but there's some films that do this too, where they hold the title credit until the very end, or at least midway through. It reminds me of that. It's just stunning at the end. Boom, it hits you like a jab to the face.
Yeah, it
Wow.
reminds me of some really old-fashioned horror films.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, the horror stuff.
Oh,
Yeah.
that didn't even occur to me. But yes, you're absolutely right. It does feel like an old school horror type thing.
I have to ask about the real quick about this song because I was listening to this earlier. There's another version called the quiet version. Where did that come? Which is more of, I don't want to say acoustic because you still have all the really cool dreamy sound, but it's a little more subtle version. Where did that come from?
That came about because we threw a lot of musicality out to make room for the synths. And yeah, we felt that we wanted to kind of still express the musicality of the track. We just couldn't within the confines of that track because, you know, you can have, I think, a lot of dynamic, like orchestration, a lot of drums and things hitting and synths sweeping in and out and still be musically complex. You need to have one thing complex at a time. And so it didn't make it. And we wanted to kind of still use that musical side of it.
And it's also as well because I've been really attached to the idea of using like musical reprise for this album. So there's you heard it here first. Another track on the aforementioned unnamed album is Love of a Daughter. And Love of a Daughter has been built up from a reprise of Love of a Father. So we went through the process of breaking down Love of a Father to its musical parts in order to be able to do that, and then build up that song Love of a Daughter. And then in the process of doing that, we ended up with this really like lovely, rich, you know.
I see a lot of that kind of stuff in music theater. I wonder if some of your theater background had something to do with that. My daughter's a big music theater person, so I know
I'm really
all that.
not. I'm truly not. I was like forced into it as a child.
You're forced?
Yeah,
Oh, no.
there's none of it exists in me anymore. Maybe you've seen something that's there. Maybe that's what all the blindfold and all the antlers are all about. After all the time, it's my musical theater past.
I feel like there's a theme, Erin, that runs through everything that you've said. You're not a poet, but you're clearly a poet. You're not a front woman, but you're clearly a front woman. And you're not a theater person. You clearly were a theater person. I feel like there's a theme.
This is like a therapy session, guys.
I didn't mean for it to be that. I'm sorry.
And Ryan's the same way. He's all like, no, I didn't study music formally, but he's saying all this stuff that I teach in my classes. And well, I want it to be more musical with less synth, but the synths are still very musical. It's the same thing. We're both getting you through your issues here.
Yeah, I feel like you're both way too humble.
Yeah,
because this is
very much.
It's stunning from top to bottom.
It
Absolutely
is.
stunning.
Yeah.
So maybe I'll give y'all the last word. Is there anything that you want to say about this, Erin? I know you said that there was something maybe we would hold till the end. Is there anything as far as to wrap this up that you would like to say, you would like to share with folks about this song, about the lyrics or the music video?
I mean, I guess I said that about holding it to the end mostly because I thought that you were maybe asking about my meaning behind the lyrics that I now feel like maybe I don't need to say that, but yeah, I mean ultimately all of like lyrically all of my songs are very personal. They're kind of all about life experiences or things that I've experienced, and without going into too much detail, Love of a Father's definitely about power and relationships and liberating the self from that feeling of being compliant in relationships or feeling like you owe something in relationships. And in particular, that has a context because for me in my day job, I work in a sexual abuse service. So like I work with lots of young women who have been through some of the most horrendous gender-based violence that you can imagine, and there's that frustration sort of in the subtext of the song for me.
Well, maybe I'll back that question out just a little bit, and maybe we can kind of end with that. But before I do back that question out, I do want to say that I absolutely love the fact, and this is kind of a blanket statement, that we are seeing a lot more female voices in rock and synth and things like that, from people like Lizzie Hale and Hellstorm all the way over to Ginger, Tatiana, and stuff like that. I love the fact that we are seeing voices from females in these really great rock, synth, whatever you want to call it. I love that we're seeing those voices. But to back that question out, I guess to end with, how important is it for you that the audience understands your meaning behind your lyrics, or is it just a cathartic thing for you to get them out there, and then what we take from those lyrics is what we take from them? Like how do you feel about that?
No, I actively enjoy when people have their own interpretations of my lyrics. That's, I think, some of the most rewarding parts is when somebody comes up to you and says, you know, I really love this song and this, because often that's what it is. It's people saying that they, you know, this song like really helped me and it felt like it put into words things that I couldn't. And the thing that they're trying to put into words is not necessarily what I was.
Sure.
But like seeing that I guess it's that place where your music's not just something pleasant and pleasurable, but something useful, you know, that does something proactively for someone. That's like that's an especially nice part. So as long as people aren't misinterpreting our music and thinking we're Nazis or something, because you never know.
Yeah. Sure.
As long as there's not that kind of interpretation, or like a wild, kind of negative interpretation, then yeah, do whatever you like.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's a great ending to this. So, folks, we'll go ahead and stop here. I'm going to include all the links for your information. And the Commemorate album, you can get that on a special vinyl. Is that right? It looked like on your website that you have like a special red version of that looked beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's there. It's on vinyl. It's you can get a CD, or just the digital album as well.
Good.
Yeah.
And you're about to go on tour, right? So on November 2nd, you're going to be at the Fulford Arms in York, right? And then you'll end at the Garage in London.
Yeah, although actually, no, the first gig we're starting and ending in London for the tour.
Oh.
There's two. The tour is sort of bookended by London shows, and stopping a bunch of places in between.
Oh, gosh, I've never wished so badly I was over in the UK. I'm sorry I'm going to miss that. I would love to talk you into coming and playing in Austin if I could do that. That would be a great thing.
Well, you know, mention to any local promoters that maybe that'll happen, you know.
I would love to see it.
Yeah.
So, folks, go and check out their website. Go and check out Spotify. There's so much there that's just absolutely stunning. And then obviously check out the music videos because they are gorgeous pieces of art. Thank you so much, Erin. Thank you so much, Ryan, for being here with us. Make sure you go and check out the interview we did before this, and we will also try to do a very quick thing on Austin Music TV. So thank you both very much. We appreciate you being here.
Thanks for having us. It's been great.
It's lovely.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Sláinte.